The Galactic Council was the most powerful group in the galaxy. It was made up of different alien species, each stronger and smarter than any human could imagine. The Council had one goal: to control everything in the universe. No species was allowed to become a real threat to their power. And when they heard about humans, they became worried. Humans were a small, young species compared to the ancient alien civilizations. They had only recently started to explore space, but in the short time they had, humans had made some big achievements. They had sent ships to distant planets. They were already mining asteroids and building large space stations. The humans were growing fast. The Council couldn't ignore this. They had seen other species grow, and they had destroyed them before they could become a threat. The humans, however, were different. The reports the Council received spoke of human resilience, how they kept fighting even when things seemed hopeless. The more they heard, the more worried the Council became. One alien species in the Council, the Zarkoth, had been monitoring Earth for years. The Zarkoth were known for their intelligence and cunning. They were the first to see what was happening with the humans. They reported to the Council, saying, "The humans are rising quickly. They have technology, but more importantly, they have something else, a spirit we have never seen before. They don't give up, no matter what." The Council leaders were not used to hearing things like that. Their worlds had faced countless wars and challenges. Their species had survived for centuries because they knew how to win. But these humans, they were different. The Council's leader, High Commander Krolos, called an emergency meeting. It was held in the largest chamber of the Council's headquarters. The walls were made of dark metal, shining with strange symbols. The room was filled with representatives of many alien species, all gathered to discuss the human problem. "We cannot allow this species to grow," Krolos said, his voice deep and commanding. "They are a threat to our control. If we don't stop them now, they will become stronger. They will be impossible to defeat. We must take action before it's too late." The room was silent. The alien leaders looked at each other. Some agreed with Krolos. Others were more cautious, but none of them had an answer to the human problem. Finally, a voice broke the silence. "What if we destroy them before they grow any further?" said an alien named Shore, a species known for their massive size and strength. "We have the power. We can send a fleet to their planet and wipe them out before they can do any more damage." Krolos nodded. "That is exactly what I'm suggesting. We will send our best fleet. Our warriors will land on Earth, and we will crush them. No more humans. They will be erased." The plan was simple. The Council would send a fleet of warships to Earth. These ships were some of the most powerful in the galaxy. They had weapons that could destroy cities in seconds, and the soldiers on board were trained to defeat anything they faced. The Zarkoth had already gathered information about Earth. They knew the humans had cities, military forces, and some advanced technology. But nothing that could stop a full-scale attack from the Galactic Council. They believed this would be an easy victory. But Krolos wasn't so sure. "We will need to strike hard and fast," he said. "The humans are unpredictable. They may surprise us. We must show them that we are not a species to be challenged." The alien leaders all agreed, but they knew that this mission wouldn't be easy. The humans had proven that they were tough, but the Council was even tougher. With the fleet prepared and the plan set, the leaders gave the order. "We will send the fleet to Earth," Krolos said. "Prepare for the attack. Our victory will be swift, and the humans will learn their place in the galaxy." The fleet began its journey, moving through space at incredible speed. Ships of all sizes, from massive battleships to smaller attack cruisers, joined the armada. Each ship was packed with soldiers, weapons, and technology beyond human imagination. As the fleet neared Earth, the Council believed the humans wouldn't stand a chance. They would land, destroy the human cities, and crush the small resistance the humans could put up. It was the perfect plan, one that had worked countless times before. But something in the back of Krolos' mind kept him from feeling entirely sure. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to humans than the Council realized. When the fleet finally reached Earth's atmosphere, Krellos gave the signal to attack. The first missiles were launched, followed by waves of fighters, all headed straight for human cities. The humans, unaware of the attack, would soon learn that their survival was now on the line. The alien fleet had entered the solar system, and no one on Earth knew it was coming. Life went on as usual for the humans. People went to work, children went to school, and the world spun on its axis. In every corner of the planet, humans were busy with their daily lives, completely unaware of the danger heading straight for them. In a small military base in the United States, Captain Sarah Miller was sitting in her office, staring at her computer screen. She was in charge of monitoring space activity, but today felt like any other day. There were no reports of alien ships, no unusual activity in the sky. Everything seemed calm, peaceful. But then the alert came. It was just a blip at first, a small object moving incredibly fast. The system flagged it as a potential threat, but Captain Miller had seen false alarms before. Still, she ordered her team to track it, just in case. Minutes passed, and the blip grew larger on their radar. It wasn't slowing down. In fact, it was speeding up. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Something wasn't right. She immediately contacted the higher authorities, but the response was slow. She knew they wouldn't act quickly enough. The object was too close now. The military was still unsure of what to do, but Captain Miller didn't have time to waste. She ordered her team to scramble fighter jets and prepare for an unknown assault. As the jets took off, the sky above the base turned dark. The first missile had been launched. It was small at first, just a flicker against the bright blue sky. But then it grew. A massive explosion rang out as the missile hit the ground nearby, sending debris flying through the air. The force of the explosion shook the entire base. Sarah's heart raced as she realized what was happening. The alien fleet was attacking. While the military scrambled to respond, cities around the world were also beginning to feel the effects. In London, people were walking through busy streets when a loud roar echoed through the sky. For a moment, no one knew what it was. Then, with a massive flash, a second missile struck the city. Panic spread instantly. People ran in all directions, trying to escape the unknown threat. It was chaos, pure and simple. In New York, the situation was no better. Buildings shook as another missile hit. The city's emergency sirens screamed through the streets. People didn't know where to run. No one knew what was going on. The only thing they knew for sure was that the world they knew was no more. The attacks were relentless. But it wasn't just the cities that were under attack. Across the globe, military bases and major cities were being bombarded. And in every part of the world, humans were reacting the same way. They fought back. In Australia, the government quickly mobilized its forces. The Prime Minister addressed the nation, urging them to stay calm and join together to defend their country. "We will not let these invaders take our land," he said in his broadcast. "The human spirit cannot be broken." In Russia, soldiers prepared their weapons and set up defense systems. The people, united by fear, but also by courage, moved as one. They knew their lives depended on how quickly they could organize, but they also knew they had something that the aliens might not expect: their will to fight. All around the world, the response was the same. People didn't know who the invaders were or where they came from, but they knew they had to defend their homes. The alien ships might have advanced technology and powerful weapons, but the humans were resilient. They had fought wars on their own planet for centuries. They were used to surviving, even against overwhelming odds. The military, despite being caught off guard, began organizing a defense. The Air Force launched fighter jets into the sky, hoping to intercept the alien ships, but it was clear that the humans were outmatched. The aliens had weapons the humans had never seen before. Missiles fired from space, causing massive explosions with every strike. The human jets barely made it off the ground before they were shot down. In the midst of the chaos, ordinary people began to step up. In every country, civilians gathered to help however they could. Some helped with the injured. Others formed groups to defend their neighborhoods. There were no borders, no countries anymore, just humans fighting together to survive. People who had never met before were working side by side, setting up barricades and organizing emergency services. But there was one thing the humans did that the aliens didn't expect. They refused to give up. As each missile struck, as each city was destroyed, the humans came back stronger. They fought back with everything they had, even when it seemed impossible. And the more they fought, the more they proved something the aliens didn't understand yet. The humans didn't know how to die. On Earth, people were scared, yes, but more than that, they were ready to fight for their world. The alien fleet may have been powerful, but humanity had something the aliens couldn't defeat: heart. And as the aliens looked down from the sky, they were about to realize that humans were not as weak as they thought. The sky above Earth grew dark as the alien fleet began its first full-scale assault. The fleet, a vast collection of warships, hovered over the planet like an unstoppable storm. Thousands of ships filled the sky, blocking out the sun. From space, Earth looked like a small, fragile ball beneath them. On the ground, humans were not prepared for this. They had never seen ships like these before. Massive warships with glowing lights, sharp edges, and strange symbols covered every inch of their hulls. The ships were like nothing the humans had ever encountered. Yet the people of Earth were about to learn something that would change everything. The first missile struck New York City. It came from a ship high above, a giant craft that looked like a dark shadow against the sky. There was no warning, just a flash of light, and then an explosion that ripped through the heart of the city. Buildings collapsed into dust. The ground shook. The people ran in panic, screaming for safety, but there was nowhere to hide. The alien fleet was everywhere. The moment the missile hit, the humans fought back. Military forces launched everything they had. Fighter jets took off from every base, rising into the sky, weapons ready. But as they reached the fleet, the humans realized something terrifying. The aliens were too fast. Their ships moved with incredible speed and power. The jets didn't stand a chance. One by one, the human planes were shot down. They couldn't get close to the alien ships. The sky turned into a deadly battlefield. Explosions rang out as missiles fired in all directions. The humans tried to fight back, but they were outmatched. They had never faced an enemy like this. Back on the ground, the cities were in chaos. People tried to escape the streets, but the roads were blocked by fallen debris. In London, another missile struck the heart of the city, turning entire blocks into rubble. The sound of the blast echoed for miles. The buildings that once stood tall were now reduced to piles of dust and metal. In the middle of the destruction, groups of civilians began to organize. They helped the injured and tried to move people to safety. But there was no safe place. The attacks came without warning, and they were relentless. With every strike, the aliens proved that they were in complete control. As the alien fleet continued its bombardment, the people of Earth faced a harsh reality. They were outclassed in every way. The aliens' weapons were far more advanced than anything the humans had. Their ships were nearly indestructible. The human military tried everything they could: bombs, missiles, and even their most powerful weapons. But nothing worked. In one city after another, the humans fought back, but each attack was met with more firepower. The aliens were not only stronger, but also more organized. They had been preparing for this for years, while the humans had just been living their lives. The humans were learning a painful lesson. This battle was not going to be easy. However, something began to happen that the aliens didn't expect. Despite being outmatched and outgunned, the humans didn't stop fighting. They kept going, even when it seemed hopeless. Some military commanders were still trying to organize a defense. In Russia, a group of soldiers managed to hold off a small fleet of alien ships long enough to launch a surprise counterattack. In China, a group of civilians worked together to set up homemade weapons and defend their neighborhood from an alien dropship. It was clear to the aliens that the humans weren't afraid. They were angry. They had lost so much already, but they refused to give up. The alien general leading the assault, Commander Zorith, couldn't believe what he was seeing. The humans should have been cowering by now. Instead, they were fighting harder with each passing hour. In Africa, an entire village was destroyed by a direct hit from an alien ship. But as the dust settled, the survivors started to rebuild. They gathered what little they had left and began to prepare for another fight. The people had nothing but their will to survive, and that was something the aliens couldn't understand. As the days passed, the humans started to develop new strategies. They began to use the wreckage from the destroyed cities to build new weapons. They didn't have the advanced technology the aliens had, but they were learning quickly. They were adapting to the aliens' tactics, finding new ways to fight back. The alien fleet, though still in control, started to notice the shift. The humans weren't as weak as they had thought. Commander Zorith grew frustrated. The plan was supposed to be simple. The aliens were supposed to land, destroy the human forces, and take over. But instead, the humans were putting up a fight they didn't expect. The more the aliens attacked, the more the humans fought back, each time with more strength and more determination. By the end of the first week, the alien fleet had done severe damage to Earth's cities. But the humans were not broken. They were angry. They were scared. And most importantly, they were ready to fight until the very end. The aliens had underestimated them, and that mistake was about to cost them. The alien fleet had done its damage. Cities were in ruins, and the skies were filled with smoke and ash. Yet despite all of this, something surprising was happening on Earth. The humans were not giving up. If anything, their resolve had grown stronger. After days of constant attacks, the survivors of the initial onslaught began to regroup. In every corner of the world, people were coming together. Soldiers, civilians, scientists, and farmers. They all had one thing in common. They weren't going to let the aliens destroy their planet. In the United States, Captain Sarah Miller stood on her rooftop in Washington, D.C., staring at the burning skyline. The once beautiful city was now nothing more than a battlefield. But she wasn't afraid. She had seen the worst of what the alien fleet could do. And yet, she knew the humans weren't beaten. They had faced challenges before, and they had always come out stronger. This time, it would be no different. "Captain, the resistance is growing," one of her officers said, pulling her out of her thoughts. "We've got groups forming everywhere. The civilians are taking up arms. They're not waiting for orders. They're fighting." Sarah nodded. "I know. We're not the only ones who want to survive. We need to support them, give them weapons, supplies, anything we can." In cities all over the world, similar scenes were unfolding. People who had never held a weapon before were learning to use them. Civilians in Europe were building barricades out of whatever materials they could find. Cars, trees, even concrete rubble. They knew they had to act fast if they wanted to have a chance against the alien invaders. In Africa, the survivors of a city that had been destroyed came together. They had lost everything: homes, families, friends, but they were still standing. They had nothing left to lose, and that gave them a fire they hadn't known before. As the aliens moved closer, the humans didn't hide. They didn't run. They fought back. The human military was also adjusting. Though they were still outmatched, they were learning. The alien ships were powerful, yes, but the humans were starting to understand their weaknesses. In Russia, a group of soldiers had managed to disable one of the smaller alien ships using an old anti-aircraft weapon. It wasn't much, but it gave the humans hope. They could defeat the invaders, piece by piece. In South America, a group of engineers and scientists worked together, combining their knowledge to build new types of weapons. They didn't have the advanced technology the aliens had, but they had something even more important: creativity and determination. They were able to craft explosive devices, makeshift shields, and even electromagnetic weapons designed to jam the alien ship's technology. The news of these small victories spread like wildfire. The humans didn't care that they were outgunned. They didn't care that the aliens had far superior technology. They were fighting for their homes, their families, and their future. And that gave them strength. Meanwhile, the alien fleet was beginning to grow frustrated. Commander Zorath had expected the humans to fall quickly. They had never encountered an enemy like this before, one that refused to give up, no matter how many losses they suffered. Zorath had underestimated the power of the human spirit. The more the aliens attacked, the more the humans pushed back. They didn't care that they were facing advanced weapons. They didn't care that the aliens were stronger. What the aliens didn't understand was that the humans had something that the aliens would never have: a refusal to quit. In China, a group of farmers stood their ground. They didn't have advanced weapons or military training, but they had each other. With their hands, they built traps and set up defenses around their village. They gathered what few weapons they could find and prepared for the next wave of alien ships. The aliens thought they could break them, but the humans weren't going anywhere. In India, another group of survivors had done the same. They knew that the alien fleet would come for them next, but instead of waiting in fear, they rallied together. Men and women, old and young, joined forces to build a barricade around their town. They had little, but they had the will to survive. That was enough. All around the world, humans were proving that they would not be broken. They didn't have the technology to fight the aliens on their terms, but they didn't need it. They had their spirit, and the aliens didn't know what to do with that. Back in Washington, D.C., Captain Miller stood tall as she watched another wave of alien ships approach. She knew they were coming, but this time, it was different. The humans had adapted. They had learned, and they were ready. The war was far from over, but the humans were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for victory. Sarah, one of her officers, said, breaking the silence, "We've got a plan. We know how to hit them now. We've got the tools. We've got the will. And we got each other." Sarah smiled. "Then let's show them what humanity can do." As the alien ships came into view, the humans prepared for what would be the most crucial fight of their lives. They were battered, bruised, and broken in many ways, but they were still standing. They were still fighting, and no matter how many battles they lost, they would never break. The humans weren't done yet. They were just getting started. The war had been going on for weeks, and the alien fleet still hovered above Earth. But something was changing. The humans had begun to fight in ways no one could have predicted. Their strength wasn't just in their weapons or technology. It was in something much deeper. In every corner of the world, the human spirit burned brighter. Soldiers, farmers, doctors, and teachers, they all stood together. The aliens had expected the humans to crumble under the pressure, but instead, they were seeing something far more dangerous. The humans were united, and that made them stronger than anything the aliens had ever faced. In the middle of the war zone, a small group of survivors huddled together in an underground bunker. They were tired. Their clothes were torn, and their faces covered in dirt. Yet there was a fire in their eyes. They were not the military elite or highly trained soldiers. They were ordinary people who had come together out of necessity. But now, they were more than that. David, a former teacher, stood at the front, holding a map. He had never fought in a battle before, but now, he was leading the charge. His voice was steady as he spoke to the group. "We've learned a lot from the last few weeks," he said. "We know the alien ship's weaknesses. We know how they move, and we know they're not unbeatable. It's not about their technology. It's about our will to fight." A woman named Emily, who had been a doctor before the war, nodded in agreement. "We've got what we need. They can't take that away from us. We'll do whatever it takes." The group of survivors had grown since the first attacks. What started as a handful of people had turned into a strong, organized force. They were not just defending their homes anymore. They were attacking the aliens where it hurt. It was clear to them now. They had found a new kind of strength, one that didn't rely on weapons or advanced technology. It was their will to survive, to protect each other, and to fight for their future. Meanwhile, across the world, similar things were happening. In Europe, a group of scientists had figured out how to disrupt the alien ship's energy systems. The aliens relied heavily on their advanced technology, but the humans had started to find ways to fight back using basic tools. They couldn't match the aliens in firepower, but they were outsmarting them. The aliens had never expected this kind of fight. They had come to Earth expecting easy victory, but what they didn't understand was the resilience of the human spirit. The more the aliens pushed, the stronger the humans became. Back in the United States, Captain Sarah Miller was leading a counterattack against one of the alien outposts. Her team had been through hell, but they were determined. Sarah had learned something important. The humans were not only fighting for their homes. They were fighting for something much bigger, for their future, their children, and for the generations that would come after them. "We can't stop now," Sarah said to her team. "We're not just fighting for today. We're fighting to ensure our children have a future. We're fighting to show the aliens that they can't destroy us." Her words resonated with everyone around her. They had all lost so much, but they weren't going to lose their will to fight. They were ready to take on the aliens and show them just how powerful humanity could be. The next day, as the alien ships launched another attack, the humans fought back with renewed strength. Using their knowledge of the alien ship's weaknesses, they launched a coordinated strike. The aliens, who had once thought of Earth as an easy target, were now starting to realize they were dealing with something far more dangerous. The humans weren't just trying to survive. They were fighting to win. In Africa, a group of engineers had built a massive weapon, using whatever resources they could find. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. They set it up in a remote location, and when the alien ships came into range, they fired. The weapon sent a shockwave through the alien fleet, causing several ships to crash. The humans had struck another blow, and the aliens had no idea what to expect next. Every victory, no matter how small, brought the humans closer to their goal. The alien commanders grew frustrated. They had thought the humans would break, that they would give up after the first few attacks. But instead, the humans had shown them something they couldn't understand. They had a strength that the aliens could never defeat. In the heart of the war zone, David and his team were preparing for their next mission. They had learned to adapt, to survive, and to fight with everything they had. It wasn't just about winning battles anymore. It was about proving to the aliens that they could never break humanity's spirit. David smiled at his team. "We've got this. Together, we can do anything." And as the humans prepared for another battle, they all knew one thing. They were no longer fighting just to survive. They were fighting to win. They had found a new kind of strength, one that could not be measured in weapons or technology. It was a strength born from the heart, and it was unstoppable. The aliens had underestimated humans from the very beginning. They thought Earth was just another planet, filled with weak creatures that would quickly bend to their will. But as the war raged on, the truth became clear. The aliens had no idea what humans were truly capable of. In the heart of the battlefield, Commander Zoreth of the alien fleet was growing frustrated. The human resistance was stronger than he had expected. His fleet, once feared across the galaxy, had faced defeat after defeat. The humans had shown themselves to be far more resourceful, determined, and dangerous than Zoreth had imagined. Zoreth sat in his command center, staring at the live feed from Earth. His fleet had suffered severe losses in the last few weeks. The humans had used every tactic they could think of: ambushes, sabotage, guerrilla warfare. They were relentless. "Why won't they break?" Zoreth muttered to himself. "We've destroyed their cities, their military bases. They should be finished by now. But the humans weren't finished. They were far from it. On Earth, the survivors had come together in ways the aliens could not have imagined. Even in the face of overwhelming destruction, the humans found ways to adapt, to fight back. They learned from their mistakes and grew stronger with every passing day. They were not just defending their planet. They were proving a point. They weren't going to let anyone take their world from them. In New York, Sarah Miller and her team had just completed a daring mission to disable another alien weapon. They were exhausted, covered in dirt and blood, but there was no sign of defeat in their eyes. Sarah, once a soldier, now led a ragtag group of survivors who had become a force to be reckoned with. She had learned that humans didn't just fight to survive. They fought for something more. For each other, for their families, and for their future. "We're getting closer," Sarah said, looking out over the skyline of the ruined city. "Every mission, every battle, we're getting closer to winning." Her words echoed the thoughts of every human who fought alongside her. They had no advanced weapons like the aliens, no massive warships or energy shields, but they had something far more powerful, a will to survive. And that was something no enemy, no matter how strong, could destroy. As the days passed, the humans began to uncover something even more important. They were not just fighting for their world. They were fighting for the truth. The truth that the aliens had ignored. The truth about humanity itself. The truth was simple. Humans were not like any other species the aliens had encountered. They were not driven by fear or self-preservation. They didn't bow down in the face of danger. Instead, they stood tall, even when the odds were against them. They fought, not because they had to, but because they believed in something greater than themselves. Across the world, people were learning to work together in ways they never had before. Governments, once divided by borders and politics, now united under the same cause, to save humanity. People who had never met before joined hands, sharing food, shelter, and knowledge. In Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas, the human race was coming together in a way that had never been seen before. This unity was something the aliens couldn't understand. To them, strength came from technology, from control, from fear. But the humans were showing them a different kind of power. It wasn't a power born of weapons or warships. It was a power that came from the human heart, the power of hope, courage, and unity. In a hidden base in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a group of scientists had discovered something that could turn the tide of the war. Using the data they had gathered from alien technology, they had developed a weapon that could cripple the alien fleet. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And for the first time, the humans had a real chance at defeating their enemies. As Sarah Miller and her team prepared for their next mission, they knew that they were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the truth. They were fighting to show the aliens that they had underestimated the strength of humanity. The aliens thought they could destroy Earth, but what they didn't know was that the humans had something far more powerful than anything the aliens had ever faced. They had hope. They had unity. And above all, they had a truth that could never be broken. Humans don't give up. The final battle was coming. The aliens were beginning to realize the truth about the humans, but by the time they'd fully understood it, it might be too late. They had underestimated the humans from the very beginning. They had thought Earth would be an easy target. But now, the humans were ready to show them what they were made of. In the darkness of space, the alien fleet loomed, waiting for the final strike. But the humans were ready. They were prepared to fight with everything they had, and they would not stop until they had won. The truth about humans had been revealed, and the aliens would never be the same again. The battle had raged for weeks, and the alien fleet was losing. What had started as a clear victory for them had now turned into a struggle for survival. The humans were no longer just defending their planet. They were forcing the aliens to retreat, and for the first time, the alien commanders were realizing that Earth was not the easy target they had thought it was. Commander Zorath sat in his command center, his face grim. His once proud fleet, which had swept through countless worlds, was now battered and broken. The humans, with their strange tactics and relentless determination, had pushed them back again and again. Zorath had underestimated them. He had thought they were weak, but now he could see that they were something much worse. They were a force to be reckoned with. "We cannot continue like this," Zorath said, slamming his fist on the table. "We've lost too many ships. The humans are relentless. Their will to fight is unlike anything we've ever seen. We must pull back." His second-in-command, Vrex, looked at him with concern. "But Commander, if we retreat, we will lose our advantage. The humans will be emboldened. They'll think they've won." Zorath shook his head. "It doesn't matter what they think. We've lost too much. If we stay here, we'll lose everything. The humans are not the same as the other species we've conquered. They fight differently. They don't give up. We must leave before it's too late." Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans were celebrating a victory they had never dreamed possible. Cities that had been reduced to rubble were beginning to rebuild. The resistance fighters, who had once been scattered and disorganized, were now a united force. They had proven that they could stand up to the aliens and survive. And more than that, they had forced the aliens to retreat. Sarah Miller, who had led many of the successful strikes against the alien forces, stood with her team in the ruins of a once bustling city. Her face was tired, but there was a look of determination in her eyes. They had won, but she knew the fight wasn't over yet. "We've done it," she said, her voice steady. "We've pushed them back, but we can't stop here. We need to keep fighting until they're gone for good." Her team nodded in agreement. They had come so far, and they weren't about to stop now. Every victory had brought them closer to their goal, to drive the aliens off their planet once and for all. But the war was not over. The alien fleet may have been retreating, but they weren't giving up just yet. The humans had to be prepared for the next wave. They knew the aliens would come back, stronger than ever. But for now, they could breathe a little easier. In the alien fleet, Commander Zorath was preparing for the retreat. He knew that the humans had outsmarted him, but he was determined to learn from his mistakes. The retreat was not an end, but a new beginning. He would return to Earth with a new plan, a better strategy. He would not make the same mistake again. As the alien ships began to turn and head back toward the edge of the solar system, Zorath gave one final order. "Prepare the fleet for departure. We leave immediately." The humans had won a major battle, but Zorath's words echoed in the back of their minds. The war was far from over. The aliens would regroup, and they would come back stronger. But the humans had proven something important. They would not go down without a fight. On Earth, the people celebrated their victory. The streets were filled with cheering crowds. The sky, once dark with the smoke of battle, was now clear. The sounds of destruction had faded, replaced by the sounds of hope. People who had lost everything now had something to look forward to. They had won, and that victory was a symbol of what humanity was capable of. But Sarah Miller knew that the celebration would not last forever. The retreat was just a temporary victory. The aliens would return, and when they did, the humans would have to be ready. They had proven their strength, but they would have to keep proving it. There could be no rest until the war was truly over. As Sarah watched the sunset, she thought about everything they had been through. The long days of fighting, the losses, the sacrifices. But she also thought about the future. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. They had stood their ground when it seemed like all hope was lost. And now, they were going to make sure that Earth remained free. The retreat had given the humans a moment of peace, but they knew that peace would not last long. They would fight again. And this time, they would be ready.